Hi, boys and girls. Thank you so much for inviting me to come and talk with you today. My name's Miss Denise. Now, I know that I can't see you and I can't hear you, but I'm still going to ask you some questions and ask you to do a few things. I'm just going to imagine what you say and what you're doing, and then maybe later your teachers can tell me what you said, or maybe I can come visit in person sometime. So, would you raise your hand if you've ever been fishing? I used to go fishing with my cousins. They were older and they were boys. And I used to catch fish that looked like this. Maybe a little bit bigger, but not much. Do you know what they used to do with my fish? Well, they would either throw them back in the pond or they would cut them up and use them as bait to catch bigger fish. Now, I know that you've been talking about a story. They didn't use fishing poles like we did. They used something like this. Can you turn to your neighbor and talk about how you might use a fishing net to catch fish? Eyes back up here. I bet you said something like, they took the net and they threw it into the water. And they would wait and wait. And then fish would start swimming by and they'd get caught in that net. And they look something like, well, maybe bigger. Probably a lot bigger. But they weren't as small as mine, were they? Well, one night, as you studied, a group of men had been fishing all night long. And they didn't catch anything. Can you imagine sitting in a boat on a lake in the dark and you didn't catch anything? Well, you know the next morning, because you studied the story, that someone showed up. Who was that? That's right, it was Jesus, wasn't it? And as soon as he got there, the men started saying, Jesus, we've been fishing all night long and we didn't catch a thing. But you know, Jesus could have said, so sorry, or, well, better luck next time, or work a little harder. But he didn't do that, did he? Because Jesus is filled with goodness. So he told the men, as you studied, to take that net and to throw it on the other side of the boat. Well, what happened? That's right, they pulled and they pulled and they pulled, and those nets were so full of fish, they couldn't hardly get them in the boat, could they? Well, Jesus helped because he was filled with goodness. Turn to your neighbor and talk about what goodness might be or how you might show goodness. I bet you came up with lots of ways that you can show goodness. Oh, you can share your pencils and your crayons or your snack, or you might just say a kind word to someone. You might tell them how good they look that day or how hard they've been working, or you might offer to help your teacher or your mom and dad at home. I mean, there are all kinds of ways to show goodness. Showing respect to others. You know, sometimes people are filled with bad, aren't they? Oh, that's so sad. They might call their friends names. I hate when that happens, don't you? Or they might lie about something, or they might see a crayon or a pencil or a coloring book and they say, I want that, and they take it. Or they might yell at someone. They might tell their mom and dad, no, I'm not doing that. All of those are bad things, aren't they? But when goodness comes along and you're full of goodness, it just pushes that bad right out of the way, doesn't it? And that's what Jesus was. He was full of good. And he not only was full of goodness about catching fish, but he told the men, don't just be fishermen of fish, but be fishermen of, did you say men? Yeah, they were supposed to go out and be fishers of men. Now, I don't think he meant to take their nets and go throw them over somebody, do you? Turn to your neighbor and talk about what it might mean to go fishing for men. Eyes up here. Thank you. That's right. You're going to go out and you're going to tell everyone about the stories you've learned in your classes, show them your Bible. You're going to maybe invite them to Bible class or to church. You're going to tell them all you know about Jesus. Jesus who's filled with what? That's right, goodness. And when you're doing all of that, people around will say, look at that good little boy, or look at that good little girl. Why are you so good? And you could just tell them, because I'm trying to be like Jesus. And I'm full of what? Right, goodness. I'm so proud of you. And I know you're going to go out and you're going to show everyone just how full you are of goodness. You might even ask your teachers what you've done to show that you're full of goodness. Maybe I can come visit you one day. But if not, thank you so much for having me.